Hey gamers, YouTubers, and everybody else in between. So check this out. There's a few things I wanted to point out regarding the whole Ghost of Yotei situation. Now, I already made a video on this saying that the game is already doomed or speculating that it's already doomed. However, it turns out there's a new article on October the 1st as that part place. Now, this is a rumor, of course, so it's to be taken with a pinch of salt. But at the same time, this is where it gets interesting, and I think there is some truth to this. Sony executives are not happy with the initial Ghost of Yotei response, and developers were blindsided with new female character. Now, as far as the female character goes, I don't care, to be honest with you. That is my honest opinion about it. It doesn't bother me whether there's a female protagonist. Horizon Zero Dawn, I love that game and I played it years back. I thought it was a lot of fun. Forbidden West, I'm not even interested in that. After an hour, I just put it off. And I've obviously played games where there's female protagonists. Like for example, back in the day, there was Blades of Time, which was like a God of War-ish kind of game, which was fun. Obviously, there was the Tomb Raider games, which I also enjoyed. I didn't have an issue with that. And if you haven't played it as yet, there's a game called Wet. It is about an old one, stuck on the PS3/360. It is basically a Max Payne clone, but it's absolutely fun and amazing, and I think they did a good job with it. Now, as far as Ghost of Yotei go, the main character Atsu, it doesn't bother me with her being a female. What does bother me is how they're going to put her into the story, in the sense that are they going to basically be killing off Jin to do it? And also, was it done basically because of just straight up DEI? Now, while people are saying this is because initially the voice actress for the Ghost of Tsushima or Ghost of Yotei game, Ghost of Tsushima 2, that is basically batshit insane. She is like the poster child for DEI at this point in time, I would guess, or she's going to be pretty soon. And as far as the article goes, this whole thing is based off of a video from Endymion, who's a YouTuber who seems to have insiders in all sorts of places. Now, as the article reads, YouTuber Endymion shared with this information from an alleged insider. He said apparently Ghost of Yotei blindsided many people that were working at Sony, who were not made aware of what Sucker Punch was making. He added that the people in the mid-levels at Sony were actually confused when Yotei was announced because they were under the impression that Jin Sakai would be getting a sequel. Endymion also shared that they are not happy at all when it comes to the response that the game either internally at Sony right now. The game received mixed reactions, with a number of top comments becoming Sucker Punch abandoning Jin Sakai's story. One lamented, "Imagine hearing about Jin as a legendary folktale quest." Another wrote, "Ghost of was the best idea to stick with. This way we can tell loads of different stories from different eras, showing pretty cool characters." So this is set in 1600 turn of the Sengoku Jidai period of Edo, 400 years after Jin Sakai wrote Defunct 140. 1603 is the establishment of the Tokugawa shogunate, and Yotei is a major mountain in Hokkaido, northernmost island of Japan, which leads me to believe we'll be able to explore Hokkaido. Exciting stuff, lots to explore. Another shared, Jin is literally a ghost now, RIP. So that's where it gets a bit interesting, fast forwarding 400 years. I wonder how they're going to change this and spin this. And I also think that probably there's going to be some sort of, I hope, some sort of narrative reason for all of this going on. Maybe Jin will be mentioned, though, throughout there. There may be spikes of him coming up here and there. Now, one person, I don't know how to pronounce this, but forgive me, it's the first time I'm seeing it. Pyloreed, the game, comparing to Assassin's Creed Shadows. Sucker Punch saw AC Shadows and went, "I'd hold my sake." And I think that's probably what's happened over here. It could be that when AC Shadows was first announced and first revealed to the world, Sucker Punch looked at this and was like, there's an opportunity here, guys. We got it. Let's do this. Another offered a similar sentiment. Ubisoft, we are finally introducing Samurai Assassin's Creed Sucker Punch. Hold my sake for the second time. Hopefully Jin is still going to be mentioned in the game, probably as a legend, but how an 8-foot-tall demon called the Ghost beat the Mongols out of Japan, wrote Drifter While Hungry. Anren wrote, "I've never expected them to make this IP into an anthology series of different time periods in places in Japan. I think they made the right choice." Interesting one. Another shared, Ainu, native people of Ezo, Hokkaido, that is, okay, Ainu, called Mount Yotei with, I don't know how to pronounce this, Makarini Puri of female mountain. And someone mentioned the mountain is believed to have the power of strength woman's energy. What a way to choose a scene and protagonist. That is what we call artists actually doing their research. Now that's impressive if that's true. I think that's pretty cool if they did that. Wow, I'm really impressed by that. So far the article isn't too bad. Going on further in the article, Outside of the trailer, Sony and Sucker Punch were heavily criticized for featuring a female character in the formerly male lead franchise, with many pointing to Sony's diversity and inclusion policies. And I think that's where the problem comes in. That's probably why people are upset. I'm not really bothered by a female protagonist as long as it's done correctly. However, if it's based off of DEI policies, then yes, I think that's where the problem comes in. Now, going further into the article, Brazilian gamer Cabruz Rambo, the creator of Sweet Baby Inc., of the Sweet Baby Inc. Detected Steam creator list and DEI Detective.com, posted next, but the female protagonist in the next Ghost of game is not because of DEI reasons. Below, we have Sony's latest corporate report released yesterday. The signs are there. Don't be surprised if we discover things about this game in the future. Wow, okay, that's interesting. And then he posts a snapshot of the report down over here. I'll try to include this in the video as you go along. You can pause and read it for yourself. Now, YouTuber Dread Roberts also posted Ghost of Yotei is Sony's next big game. To think they wouldn't shove DE&I into their most anticipated game title is ignorant. And I think this is also true as well. When you look at how far these companies are going with DEI, they're going to look for any opportunity to push this thing in there and push it out there so that people try, if they don't want to buy into it, they're at least forced into it. So you can do it willingly. Alternatively, you can still support them and they can keep the message and the pandering alive and keep supporting these things. The only way for DEI to come out of all of these spaces is if these companies go bankrupt, and that's probably going to be the first thing that they tackle, saying, look, after we implemented this, money started bleeding out. We don't need this anymore. People don't need this because look at the gaming industry of the past. It made a hell of a lot of money without this. Now, there are also many signs that people can withstand before starting to ask questions. And we're now at that point. Just because 3-minute long trailer doesn't outright say it in your face doesn't mean it isn't there, but we should know this by now, he added. And that is true. As far as this goes, people have been bitten one too many times, and we have now decided to turn and get out of there. We no longer want to be in this position and in the same spot as everything going on, because to be quite frank with you, we are aware of what's going on. The audience is not dumb. People don't need to spend their money on this stuff. Given how tight everything is now, you got to be fighting for every cent in this industry. And the only way to fight for every cent is to give people what they want. And if people don't want certain things, don't push it, don't do it, and you should be fine. If not, it's game over. I'm sorry, my friend. Ex-user, not Axel Carnage, also wrote, as if it wasn't already written on the wall what the VA's beliefs in advocating for trans rights, etc., we now know that Sony is still pushing the agenda of DEI. The game is no different than AC Shadows, than Suicide Squad, and then Concord. Now, as far as this all goes down, it doesn't really bother me what people do in their personal time. What bothers me is their behavior and how they do it. So you can be an activist for whatever cause, and I'm fine with that. Even if it's just stop oil, fine by all means. But if you're out there blocking roads, if you're going on the internet swearing at people, if you're just batshit insane, if you're causing more for disturbance, and if you're out there just making people's life miserable and you are insufferable for no reason other than being miserable and insufferable, if you're a spoiled, rotten brat and a child of it, and you're going to force this ideology on people without letting them choose for themselves, then yeah, I'm going to have an issue. But if you're just a natural guy saying, look, man, this is whatever the situation is, and you're cordial about it, then that's different. There's nothing wrong with being an activist, but also being a decent human being at that point in time. Just being disrespectful and be swearing outright at people isn't something that you should be doing, in my opinion, and that will steer more people away from you. The only people who gravitate toward you are people who think like you, who believe that you should come with somewhat of a Hitler mentality and force your ideals on people. Now, going on to the article itself, the former Sony chairman Sean Layden threw fuel on the fire when he reacted to a post from YouTuber Mighty Keef, calling Endymion an absolute loser. Layden posted, "It's a game and an entertainment, a story of team of creators believes in. They want to make this." He added, "Two, if it's a game. If you don't like it, don't buy it. In fact, why not make the game you want yourself?" And that's where the issue comes in. This attitude, like, if you don't like it, don't buy it, it does nothing but harm to these industries, because it gives off this attitude of entitlement to the point where these people sound as if though they don't need or don't want the money. And when people pick that up, they're like, okay, cool, man. We're fine. We won't give you any of our money then. We're fine with doing that. Cool. More money for us, less money for you. And that's where these companies fail and fall short and don't understand just how detrimental this stuff can be to them. And until they do that, they're just going to be shooting themselves in the foot every single time. Now, on top of this, going back to the article, on top of all of this, Sucker Punch hired a radical activist in Erica Ishii to play Atsu, and casting directors have made it clear that they cast individuals to push DI agenda and woke ideology. The Witcher casting director Sophie Holland told Acting Up via Variety, "I am always the first to champion diversity in all of its glory. One of the springs to mind was the character of Yennefer in The Witcher. Lawrence Hisarich is the showrunner, and we work so well together, and she's open to conversations." And we all know how the Witcher series went down. God damn, that went down bad. In the book, she's described as the most beautiful woman in the world. This was a few years ago, and I'd like to think things have changed. But when we think about people's unconscious bias, especially in the fantasy world, I felt like things like these worlds were predominantly white, and I remember saying, I feel like we need to challenge what people think of as the standard of beauty, and having a woman of color in this role does incredibly powerful things to people watching, she admitted. Not really, in my opinion, because as much as looking at Yennefer Ovia, yes, she's very attractive from season 3 of Witcher 2023. I don't think that's how you should be doing it. Like, forcing people's ideas and perspectives on things are not going to work out well for you, to be quite frank. The more you force and push these things, the more people are going to want to stay away from it. Because let's be realistic, if you force people to do things, they become more stubborn. If you do it organically, it's different. And people are aware of what people are doing now. And obviously, that's backfiring on them. And to be clear with you, Yennefer from The Witcher is no slouch. She is absolutely, in my opinion, beautiful as far as both the video game goes and as far as the series go. It's just that the way it's being implemented, it's being basically force fed. You can't force feed kids broccoli, for example. As healthy and as good as it for them, if you shove it down their throats, they're just going to hate it every single time. They're going to stay away from it. And that's what's happening with all of this activism. Not only are individuals like Ishii cast to push the DEI agenda, but Ishii has a history of radical activism, as she will likely amplify by using her role as Zatsu. The activism includes defunding the police. And that's where the situation comes in. We got somebody who's already doing these things that are controversial, and now it's going to become an even bigger issue. Ishii also appeared in support of failed Hogwarts legacy boycott, and we all know how that went down. Good God, that was a video for the times. She posted in February 2023, just ahead of the game's release. I used to love Harry Potter, went to every midnight release, cosplayed, and even in an HP-themed improv group. Now I'm happy to instead support and be part of the fantasy narratives where all are welcome. Trans community, we deserve our own better magic. I will always fight for that. She included in a video, F TERFs. Now, the situation with this is not going to get any better because you've got somebody who already looks crazy. You can see this in the snippet from the article. In her videos online, it's just absolute madness. And as far as all of this goes, it's going to become a proper mess for these guys. In a subsequent post, she added, muting but wanted to reiterate trans rights are human rights. And that's a given. That's like something which everybody should know. The problem you have with it is the way people are doing it. You're being aggressive and obnoxious about it because you're saying, I want to make people uncomfortable. When you make people uncomfortable, nobody wants to support you. It's a natural human emotion that when you are made uncomfortable, you just want to stay away from this. But if you do it organically and authentically and sympathetically, people are more likely to drift toward you. Now, I asked that instead of replying to negative comments to turn that effort towards positive action, a donation, sharing, supporting trans creators and trans joy, or checking out your trans friends and their happiness. Now, to be clear with you, as far as this all goes, I think that when you are a radical activist, you do more harm to those communities. Like, look at Just Stop Oil. They're just making matters worse for themselves. And people like Erika Ishii come across as batshit insane to the average person who isn't aware and alive to the fact as to what is actually going on in the world. If you are more if you are more genuine and if you're more authentic with your stuff, and if you are less aggressive and less crazy, people are more likely to support you, in my opinion. But the average person, when they see you being all nuts and crazy online and saying things like this, it becomes an issue. You know, people are going to be like, I don't need this. And what's worse is with the whole DEI initiative from Sony, it's pretty obvious where they're going with this. They're doubling down on it, and it's going to backfire on them spectacularly. I think we're just going to have ourselves another game which is going to basically ride off the coattails of Ghost of Tsushima, and that'll be the only saving grace for it. Once people see what is actually going on, chances are the game may suffer in terms of sales and may not be up to par with Ghost of Tsushima as well, but who knows? I could be 100% wrong. With that being said, guys, I'm out of this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. Leave a dislike if you didn't. I hope to see you in the next one. Until then, have a good day and goodbye.